more instructions before we actually do it at the end of our service. So we're in a series right now called Walking with the Giants. And the whole idea of the series is faith isn't just for superstars. It isn't just for people who we in our heads think kind of are special and unique people. But faith is something that all of us can have and all of us can do. And it is for the ordinary person. Anybody who is willing to overcome weaknesses and doubt. And I want to encourage you during this series to read on your own the chapter 11 of Hebrews, because it lists out so many men and women who did these incredible things. But we have to remember, they all started out just like us, simple people, ordinary people who turned into giants. And I got an incredible story that I came across this past week. I'm going to read to you in a second, but the one thing I wanted to catch, though, before we read that story is you got chapter 11 of Hebrews, and it talks all about these incredible people who did incredible things, but remember, they started off as ordinary people. But then in the very next chapter, the next two sentences, next two verses, it gives us a challenge. And let me read that challenge to you. This is the truth that we're going to grab today. This is Hebrews chapter 12. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge, say huge. Oh, you gotta get that. You gotta get the U in there, okay? Remember? Huge. Okay, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that trips us up. And let us run with endurance. Say endurance. There we go. Endurance. The race that God has set before us. Okay, so endurance. This is about pushing ourselves past our norms, the things that we generally do. Because if we want to have giant-sized faith, we got to do something more than what we're doing now, okay? And I've got a cool story. So let me read this to you. So Gretchen Ertl, love that name, Gretchen, was the first woman, I'm sorry, not Gretchen, Gertrude, all right? Gertrude Ertl was the first woman to swim the English Channel in 1926. Yet it wasn't done without incredible challenges that tested her physically, mentally, emotionally. Born in 1905 in New York City, Gertrude faced difficulties from an early age. Just at 5 years old, she contracted measles, which led to partial hearing loss, a condition that worsened over time. But rather than giving up, she learned to build endurance. Say endurance. She learned to build endurance, developing a passion and the skills that helped her push through adversity. In 1925, Gertrude made her first attempt to swim the English Channel. She trained for months in cold, rough Atlantic waters to build up the endurance she would need to survive the unpredictable conditions of the channel. She knew the task would take everything she had, physically and mentally. But despite swimming for over 8 hours, covering 23 miles, she was pulled from the water by her coach, who thought she was in danger of drowning. That moment was a huge setback. Many doubted her. Headlines actually suggested that a woman simply couldn't build the endurance required for such a feat. I'm going to guess that that person who wrote that didn't realize women do childbirth, all right? All right, but Gertrude didn't let failure or doubt define her. She returned home and doubled down on her training, pushing her normal rhythms, extending her swims, and building an even greater endurance than before. When she set out on her second attempt on August 6, 1926, she faced cold, choppy, powerful currents and exhaustion. Waves battered her, salt water stung her eyes, and fatigue threatened to slow her down. But every stroke she took was a testament to the endurance she had built in months before. After 14 hours and 34 minutes of grueling swimming, Gertrude Ertl reached the English shore, not only becoming the first woman to conquer the channel, but also beating the men's record by 2 hours. Gertrude, come on, ladies. Gertrude's story reminds us that building endurance is about more than just physical strength. It's about the refusal to give up. even when setbacks come. It's about training, preparing, and trusting that every stroke, every step of faith brings us closer to what God has called us to do. And that is what running with giants is all about. So it's us pushing past the norms and taking to heart, taking that truth that the writer of Hebrews said, run with endurance. Again, say endurance. The race God has set for us. We want to take that phrase right there, run with endurance, and we want to apply that to our lives to build up that faith inside of us so that we can run with the giants. So, what does giant-like faith even look like? It is speaking out God's promise every day until you see it come to pass. It's reading through the New Testament in a year, one chapter at a time. It's choosing to live the character and compassion of Jesus. It's letting go of past regrets to embrace God's grace. It's stepping out of our comfort zone and going on a mission trip. It's sharing why you follow Jesus with a friend who doesn't go to church. It's praying boldly with someone who's struggling. It's choosing faith over fear, even when it's hard. It's serving others when it's inconvenient and uncomfortable. It's trusting God's pace for your life instead of comparing yourself to other people. That's what the men and women of Hebrews chapter 11 learned how to do. And remember, it is a learned skill. It's not something that you're just born with. It's something that we've got to learn how to do, to push past our normal rhythms. And in Hebrews chapter 1, there is this really unique story of a guy named Enoch. Say Enoch. All right. We're gonna pause on this guy's story for a little bit, okay? But to understand Enoch's story, you got to understand his surroundings, okay? So one of the first things we got to understand, when Enoch lived, people just lived longer than normal, than what we do today. In fact, people lived for literally hundreds of years. So before the flood ever took place, the flood that we all refer to as Noah's flood, things were just different back then. All right, so first of all, one of the reasons I think is because I know God created people perfect, and so at that point, diseases and mutations didn't start to happen in people's lives so prevalent as they are today. They didn't accumulate in our bodies and get passed on a regular basis. And so they didn't have that issue. And also, there were just weird environmental factors involved where, however it was back then, everything grew bigger back then. Everything lived longer at that point. So you got to understand that. So things just lived longer. And so Enoch was Adam's so I'm talking the original Adam, right? Adam number one, person number one. Enoch was Adam's great-great-great-great-grandson. And the crazy thing is, they were alive at the same time. Okay, so it's just weird to think that way, all right? That there could have been a family reunion where they're sitting down, eating some good old chili, all right? And Enoch's sitting there, and all of a sudden, old Adam comes walking in. What's up, Pops? All right? And come on, sit down. Tell me what it was like to walk in the garden with God. Wouldn't that be just nuts? Adam, Grandpa Adam, however you say, great-great-great-great-great-grandpa Adam, what was it like being naked all the time? That's just weird, okay? What was it like talking to animals? I got a question for you, Grandpa Adam. Okay, you were naming all the animals. You got some good names: platypus, alligator, crocodile. Glad you differentiated between those two because I don't know the difference, but there's a difference. But at one point, did you just run out of creativity and you started naming things after what they do? Fly. Or just start picking letters out of the alphabet? B. Okay, all right. And then, but they actually lived at the same time. Actually, Adam died when Enoch was 57 years old. And then Enoch was Noah's great-grandpa. That's weird to think about, okay? But they never met because Enoch actually died at a young age. 336 or 365 years old. That's considered young. And so Noah was actually born 69 years later. But here's the crazy part about Enoch. He actually didn't die. All right, this is the weird part about it, okay? So, again, part of his culture, people lived longer. And then also, Enoch's culture was very dark, very horrific people. So think of the most heinous thing that you can think of. That was common, all right? And it actually says that God was sorry he actually made people because they had gotten so bad, so evil. And this is what Genesis tells us about Enoch. Enoch lived 365 years, walking, say walking. It's a key word today. Walking in a close fellowship with God. Then one day he just disappeared. Poof, he's gone because God took him. Hebrews explains a little bit more out of this. So this is the story from Hebrews out of 11. It was by faith Enoch was taken up to heaven without dying. He disappeared. Poof, because God took him. For before he was taken up, he was known as a person who pleased God. Okay, so the book of Jude then describes a little bit more. He describes the results of Enoch's faith endurance. So it says this. Enoch prophesied about these people, the people he lived around. He said, listen, the Lord is coming with countless thousands of his holy ones to execute judgment on the people of the world. He will convict every person of all the ungodly things that they have done and for all the insults that ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Okay. So how do you walk with God? How do you build up that kind of faith like Enoch did? Okay? How do you build up that kind of endurance? So a lot of times, as I've talked to people for years, and they describe people with great faith, it's usually just, they think of it, they conjure up in their minds the thoughts of like a monk or a nun or a priest or a pastor or grandmas, okay? Because grandmas have great faith many times. And they have requirements of what a person of great faith should have, okay? That they memorize the entire Bible, including all the genealogies. They pray 25 hours a day. They only listen to church music. They wear sandals and robes every day. They only read books written before the 1800s. They only eat at Chick-fil-A and fast every Sunday because they're closed. They only watch The Chosen, and they only drink decaf coffee because caffeine will make them way too excited. Okay. Is that even obtainable? No. Okay, not even possible. We tend to see people of faith as people with a superpower, that they're born with it, that there's something that you just get, or it's a last resort when you got the problems in your life. It's the Hail Mary pass. It's the, oh, I hope it happens kind of a thing. It's the last resort. My life is falling apart. I've been doing all these things over here to get it back together, but it's not working. So I'm just going to throw a Hail Mary up to God and say, God, can you help me out? It's a Sunday-only thing. So we only exercise faith when we're here together. Or it's a self-help plan. So is that really obtainable? Is giant faith actually obtainable? Or is it just a church thing? Can the average follower, can us, people in this room, actually have giant faith? Can we actually do the things they did in the book of Hebrews chapter 11? Let's talk about it. See, faith endurance is more obtainable than what we actually think. Repeat that after me. Say, faith endurance is more obtainable than what we think. So here we go. So here's the main idea for today. Faith grows when we walk with God. Well, we can say it too. Okay, let's repeat that. All right, repeat it after me. Say, faith grows when we walk with God. Turn the person next to you. Say to them, faith grows when we walk with God. It's as simple as that. If you want to have that kind of faith, when you are in the thick of it, when you need a miracle to happen in your life, when you've got friends that you want to know Jesus Christ, when you've got a ministry that you want to start, if you want something to change in your life, Faith is the key for that to happen. And it's so much simpler than what we attribute it to. We think you got to be the monks. We think you got to be the nun. You got to be this super person that God just gifted or touched, that you had this special faith that nobody else has. That's not what they did in the book of Hebrews. We can obtain this. We can learn how to do this. But it's going to cause us to work on endurance. So, here we go. Number 1, stop rushing and be still with God before you sprint off. This is the first step. If you want your faith to grow, stop rushing. Be still. Okay, so, do you ever talk to somebody who's just distracted? Do not nudge the person next to you, okay? But do you ever talk with somebody and they're scrolling, their mind's somewhere else, they're thinking, and it's so annoying, okay? I have done this. You have done this, okay? We have been the person who's been distracted. We've all done this in the room, okay? The idea here, though, is we want to pause. And we want to create intentional moments with God. Here's a couple things. So Jesus said this. Come to me, all you who are weary and carry heavy burdens. I will give you rest. Okay, so let's just pause in a couple of these words. He says, come to me. That means if we're going to have him take our burdens and our problems, we have to go from where we're at to where he's at. He says, come to me. That means we're not where he is. So we're just going to pause and say, okay, Jesus, I'm going to set aside. He didn't say bring those things right now. He said, come to me. If you're tired, if you're burnt out, if you're exhausted, come to me. And in those moments, we're just sitting down with him. This is an intentional thing. This isn't, I'll get to it if I have time. I will at the end of my day, when I'm laying in bed, exhausted from everything else, I'm going to get my Bible, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to keep reading it, and I'm going to try to read it some, and next thing you know, you are sawing logs, okay? Jesus says, be intentional. Come to me. Plan this moment out, okay? Then he says, be still and know that I am God, out of Psalms. Be still. This is pausing, slowing down. Let's do an exercise. I actually do this. Okay, so don't think I'm too weird. If you already, it's already late, but here's what I'm going to do. I want you to close your eyes. Just trust me on this. Just close your eyes. We're not going to do anything weird. Just close your eyes for a second. I want you to just imagine something. You're sitting at a table, and across from the table, there's a couple, like 2 foot small table. There's a chair over there. It's empty right now. You're just sitting here, and all of a sudden, Jesus comes walking in, and he sits in that chair. And you see him, and you are literally 2 to 3 feet away from him. And when he comes in and he sits down, he is actually smiling. He is grinning ear to ear. He is so excited about it because he gets to sit down with you. He has been waiting for this moment because you've paused and you've intentionally chose to sit at this table with him. And so now he's starting to tell you how much he loves you, how he's impressed with you, how all your things in the past are gone, and he wants to be with you. And he just starts talking to you and sharing his heart. But then you get to talk to him, and you get to share your heart with him. What a beautiful moment. You can open your eyes now. This is something you can do on a regular basis. It is just pausing and imagine he's in front of you. Now, you might be here today and you might not have any kind of relationship, any kind of connection to Jesus. Maybe it was a long time ago. But the reason why he wants to do this with you is because he knows you used to be his. You used to belong and you used to be a family with him. But somebody came and stole that away. And so he paid the price to get you back. That's what he did on the cross. He died so that you can be back part of the family again. And he is accepting you, and he is coming in that room to sit down with you. And if you've never made that decision to follow Jesus, to sit at the table with him, be part of his family, I'm going to give you a chance at the end of the service to do that, all right? So that's the first thing. Number one is we want to stop rushing. The second thing, to build this giant faith, to build that endurance up, is make faith a daily walk. Let God in on the little moments too. So we got to take faith beyond the Sunday experience. It can't just be about what we do in this room for an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes on a Sunday. It's got to go beyond that. So how do you do that is a big question. How do you take what we do here and make it beyond it? Crazy simple things. Let me give you some of the things that are normal. This is what the men and women of Hebrews 11 did. First of all, express gratitude. This is be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you who belong to Christ Jesus. 1 Thessalonians, all right? Repeat that after me. Be thankful in all circumstances. Okay, so the idea here is that we want to be grateful in every single circumstance. All right, so this is kind of my go-to thing. When it's bad weather out, when it's raining, when it's cloudy, when it's been like that for days, all right, and people say, hey, how you doing? I'm doing great. Say, how can we do this? It's raining. Because it's sunny on a beach somewhere, all right? And I'm going to imagine I'm there because somewhere God's shining sunshine down. It's 80 degrees. The wind is lapping in. The waves are blowing. It's so nice, okay? Somewhere it's like that. And what you do is you change your attitude. You challenge yourself to be grateful for whatever circumstances you've got. So when it rains, the grass grows or the weeds grow. And you got to mow them. But you can be grateful. God, thank you so much that I have the ability to get out of my house and go do this. Whew. God, thank you so much that I have a car to sit in traffic and wait at the lights. God, thank you so much. I got a job to go to that my boss is so rude and mean. God, thank you so much. I got a job to go to that my employees are so rude and mean. God, thank you so much. I got a neighbor. Even though they're cranky, I got a neighbor. God, thank you so much. It's just expressing gratitude. And what you do is you do that. You're building up an endurance inside of you that when the problems come, you're not going to be fazed by them because you are learning to express gratitude in all things. Another thing these people do is noticing what he's done, noticing what God's done. So Psalms 19, the heavens proclaim the glory of God, and the skies display his craftsmanship. Okay, I'm about to lose my man card, I think, in this what I'm going to say next, all right? I like flowers, and I like taking pictures of flowers. I know, it's weird. Okay, because what it does is it forces me to pause, okay, the whole be still thing. It pauses me to get down because flowers don't go too high. And I got to pause and I got to look at that flower. And I got to see the that's the word I'm trying to say. And I got to say that when I got to think about it. And I got to look at the flower and I got to pause. And I got to go, wow, God, that's amazing. God, that's beautiful. And God, you created this little flower. How did you put 3 different colors onto one leaf? It's the things like that. God, wow, you created these trees. God, you created the ability for somebody to make calculus and confuse the rest of the world. But God, you gave that ability. God, that's amazing. All the things that God does, okay? And we pause and we're noticing what he does. The heavens display the glory of God, and the earth display his craftsmanship. Wow. God, you are amazing. It is, God, how did you have that creativity? Wow. When we do these kind of things, it builds up faith endurance because we're actually proclaiming that God did all things. We're proclaiming that God has made all these things. We're noticing what he's done. All right, and then another one that they did, create rhythms of prayer. So Paul said this in Thessalonians, never stop praying. Really simple, 3 words, never stop praying. Okay, so wait a minute. 1,040 minutes in one day. Gosh, I'm going to run out after like 10 minutes, okay? what do I pray about? I mean, do I really have to pray for 1,000 minutes and 1,040 minutes? That's nuts. Okay, I don't think Paul was saying that. But what I do think it says is it means we have to build and develop endurance in our prayer woven throughout the entire day. And the prayer is not always, God help. Sometimes it's, God, release this miracle over here. God, I'm declaring this promise over this person. God, help me with my budget. God, thank you so much for what you're doing. Sometimes it's just pausing and thanking him. Sometimes it is talking about how great he does. But it's the idea that we're building this endurance that all day long we are staying in connection to him, in a relationship with him. It is sitting at that table we imagined, and that he's on the other side of it. God, you're here with me. I want to talk to you. I want to hear your voice. Fourth thing is create rhythms of worship. I will praise the Lord at all times. I will constantly speak his praises. Okay, so you're going to continue to think I'm weird. I drive down the road singing at the top of my lungs. All right? Very rarely am I singing my country songs. All right? What I'm generally singing is songs about God. They don't rhyme. There's no rhythm. I am so far off key, you don't even realize that it is singing, all right? I don't care because it says here, I will praise the Lord at all times. I will constantly speak his praises. So I am making up songs on a consistent basis. When we do this, we're building up that faith endurance. We're speaking those things out on a consistent basis. We're making these part of our everyday life. This is how simple it is to build up that endurance, to be people like the giants in chapter 11 of Hebrews. The third thing is step where he steps. So go where he leads, not just where you want. Okay. So a lot of people say, I hear this many times, we just need to focus on God and he'll take care of everything. We need to focus on God and not doing all these things for him. Okay, yes, I agree with that to a point. But here's the reality. This is what Jesus has said to us. Seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need. That word seek is actually an action word. And live is another action that we need to do. Seek and live. Then he says, therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. Go and make. Those are action words. Baptizing them. That's another action word. Then he goes on to say, teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you. And be sure of this. I'm always with you. Oh, wow. We do all these things, and then the result is he's with us. Wow. That's pretty cool. So it's not a either or, it's a both and. We do these things together. So we build up that endurance. We challenge ourselves to do more than what we normally do. And those are simply things like expressing gratitude, noticing what he's done, create rhythms of prayer, create rhythms of worship, step where he steps, make a daily faith walk, stop rushing. Wow. When we do that, we do what Enoch did. That's the results we will get. It says, Enoch prophesied to these people, and he said, listen, it's a both and, not an either or. So, here's what we're going to do today. I love action steps. I love giving you things like, you got to go do, you got homework today. What? School's over, Greg. Summertime. No homework, okay? Burn the book. No, don't burn books. I'm going to give you some action steps. You have an assignment this week, all right? I'm going to put them up on the screen here. You're going to pick one of these things. You got these cards in your seats. I will commit to grab those cards, grab one of those cards, because I want you to write something down, all right? And I want to challenge you to pick one of these and do it this week. Okay, let me talk through them. So recite one Bible promise every day this week. I don't know what Bible promises are. Google it. It's really easy, guys, okay? Just Google, give me a Bible promise. I don't care what it is, all right? Just recite a Bible promise every day this week, one day. Just recite it. All you got to do is say it out loud. That's it. Simple, okay? Start or continue the New Testament in a year plan on the Bible app. Get back to reading. Maybe you started strong at the beginning of this year and kind of got away from you. Get back in. Greg, I'm so far behind. That's okay. Start on today's date, all right? And go for 7 days straight. Let's do that, okay? Another one. Encourage someone 3 times this week. That'd be easy. All right. Any one of us in this room. I like your shoes. That's one day. I like your shirt. That's another day. I like your hair. That's a third day. You got it, okay? Something simple. Just encourage somebody. Here's another one. Plan one meal this week. Plan it. Don't wait for it. I think I'll get to it. No, pick a day like you're going to pick a date with somebody. Plan a meal this week to eat alone and talk to God if he's sitting with you. Wow, just one. That's all I got to do. I actually do that on a regular basis. That's my breakfast almost every morning. I just sit there, God, I'm so glad you're here. Or if you don't like any of those, pick another thing. Make it so you know you've accomplished it at the end of the week. It's measurable, okay? You should be able to say, I did this, and I know I did this, okay? Pick one of those. Now, that's your homework for this week. I want to challenge you. If you call me your pastor, if this is your church, do one of those this week. Pick one and make it happen. And what you're going to do is you're going to build that endurance up. It's going to be stronger. And so when you need to release some faith in a situation, we're writing your name in a book. Hebrews chapter 11. We're going to add to that. We don't add to the Bible. We're going to make up a new one. We're going to make a list of somewhere. My name there and something and behind, and then your name there and something. And we're going to keep adding to that. Because as you start to exercise faith, as you build that endurance, my goodness, it's going to be